When the United States entered World War II, the people of O'Fallon, like people across the country, did their best to pitch in for the nation's war effort.
You would get stamps, and you had to turn these stamps in every time you got your meat. Of course, then when he bought the meat, he had to deposit these stamps into a bank. It'd be just like $1, $2, $3, and he had to write out a check on these stamps and give it to the people who brought the meat in. If you didn't have the stamps, you didn't get nothing. People used to line up from the front door of the meat market and they go across Elm Street, and there was a bank on a corner over there. They'd all be all along there waiting to get in, come in one by one and get whatever you had. Then sometimes you might get maybe 10 or 20 people serving. That'd be all you had. That's all you could get.
We'd have to stand in line for our parents to get meat because of the war.
Right.
We would have rations.
We had food
and sugar
stamps.
or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All the kids would stand first, and when he finally opened and it started moving, then the mamas would come and kids would go away and they'd be in line.
Many goods were in short supply, and the only way you could buy things like coffee, meat, sugar, or gasoline were with ration stamps.
And we had to have a food stamp for sugar, coffee,
flour.
Was flour in it too?
And we had stamps for shoes. We got one pair of shoes
gasoline.
a year. Oh yeah, one pair of shoes a year.
If my family didn't drink coffee, we would trade our stamps to somebody who had more canned good stamps than they needed or more meat stamps than they needed. There was a lot of trading going on because that was the only way you could get them. You couldn't buy them.
Sometimes the very smallest gestures meant so much to the soldiers.
During World War II, I remember it very well. Of course, I was with Grandma there and Mom, and they'd make sandwiches because the troop trains would come through, and those troop trains were wooden, had small wooden windows, and they'd drop those windows down, the boys be hanging out, and they'd give me letters to mail. And Grandma would make sandwiches, so I'd go over there and give them sandwiches, and they would give me their letters to mail to their loved ones.
O'Fallon staged its own blackout drills and even made the headlines in the St. Louis papers.
They had to black out the whole town.
Well,
and they were allowed to have one light bulb.
Oh, Grandma ran a candle. She wouldn't.
And all the windows had to be covered so that if airplanes came over, they couldn't see where the towns were.
Well, it was kind of...
It was fun.
Yeah. Everybody would park uptown because all the lights go out, and everybody'd be sitting outside and talking and neighboring and carrying on, but all the lights would go out. You had to cover Grandma's window with black.
Everybody did.
Everybody did, yes, but I'd had to do it there.
When news came that the war was over, people literally danced in the streets.
The World War II endings, well, I remember hearing it in the afternoon of that day, and my children and I watched all the cars that were honking and flying by the window. We lived in a second-story house, and so we had a good view of all that. And then later in the day, we went with the crowd, and as they drove around town, and we all ended up at the ball field and had a party.